Good morning, everybody. I am Vincent Meza, and this is Listings to Leads. And we're going to talk about the top ways to get more listings. Okay. Now, I want to tell you before we get started into the story, I want to make sure you know the resources we have. We have some people here who are clients and some people who are not clients. And even there's somebody here who was a client and they're kind of checking us out again. So, one thing that I always recommend for learning listings to leads is our YouTube channel. Now, if you go to YouTube and you go to listingstoleads.com, you'll drop on this homepage, and you always know because there's kind of this automatic fast video going here. And I actually think it's better to go to the videos page because all of our videos, including classes like this, are all going to be on this page. And I want to point out to you where I think what you really need to check out. Steve is interested in buyers. Okay, that's good. A lot of what I'm going to show you today it's obviously we're talking about how to get more listings, but I'll kind of throw it in there where you can use the buyer side of some of the same tools. There are 3 classes that I rotate through, and I recommend that you catch the most recent ones because we're adding a lot of new tools. So get started. And here it says webinar intro to new tools. So 2 weeks ago, I actually covered all the latest stuff that we're adding to the system that's recently been added. So I think it was Elizabeth is kind of, looking at us again, that's a good class to see. Facebook advertising is another good class to see. And every time you catch the most recent ones, you'll get the latest news that we have. And then you see top tools to get more listings, which is the class that we're doing. So I know sometimes people think I sound like a robot, but I can assure you I am not a robot. And the point of this page is that there are times where I don't say the exact same thing in every call, right? You can see there's a top tools class for getting more listings here. And this talks about a new strategy to get listings from Facebook, high quality listing leads. And I'm going to show you and give you a high level about it. And I'm going to bring us back to this page then, because I'm not going to go too slow on it. But I'm going to give you the high level of what it is. And if you really want to understand, I really recommend that all of you watch these 2 videos. The best way to get listings from Facebook and the new strategy to get high quality listings from Facebook. These 2 classes here, because I go in depth of what it is, to how to make Facebook really awesome for getting listings. And we're going to dive into it in a moment. But this is our class here. This is where all of our videos are. I think I'm going to sneeze, but in the meantime, while I'm working on that, I am going to send all of you a link to this page. And I really recommend that you save this page and check it out and check out those things, especially this new strategy. If we're talking about listing leads, we definitely want to talk about how to target and the best way. And let's look at this. Let's get into it. Okay. So when you log into your account and you're thinking about getting listings, there are 3 avenues, I think, to think of. Okay. And think of it this way, you each have multiple farm markets, right? There's not one of you, I think, that is operating in just one city and in one area. You've got multiple things going on, multiple farm markets. And so I think it really all starts with landing pages. We'll get into it in a moment. But here's what you want to be thinking of in order of getting more listings. One is landing pages, one is ads, and the other is marketing listings. Okay. These are the 3 areas that you can actually get this. So if we go to landing pages first, this will sort of start us off. When you sign up, you get 3 landing pages automatically: free home value, down payment assistance, and new construction. The free home value one is the one that's designed for for getting listing leads. And so we've got it created there. You click on it and you type in your address. And if you give us your email address, we'll give you a home value. And then we email that to you automatically. Okay. And they get a range, and that's what that landing page works like. Now, there, how you get people to that page is the big question, right? It just sits there. Does it have SEO? Are people going to find it randomly? No. You got to get it in front of high traffic areas. So, but I'm not going to concentrate on that one. I'm going to show you these down here because, like I said earlier, you've all got multiple areas where you're growing your business, right? It's not just one town. So you really need to have those. And I've got one here for San Antonio. You need to make sure that you're taking the moment to put a unique photograph of that area that you're working. So when you create a landing page, you want to make sure you've got a landmark that people are going to recognize, that you know what they're talking about. I've got here Brookhaven. Now, Brookhaven is actually a golf course community, right? And it's in a town where everybody wants to live there, and people who are adjacent to that little area, they want to move in there. So, you can actually snap in a YouTube video, right? To sort of talk about some area, that you're after. You probably don't know this, but some of you do. You can make your own YouTube videos with your smartphone. You can literally shoot a video and you can do a walk around in the neighborhood and talk about what's going on, upload it to YouTube and snap it in right here, right? But all that being said, you really want to create these for each area that you're in. I'm going to talk to you about this a little bit later. This is a neighborhood in my town, right? It's a special little part of Lafayette called Release Valley. And so some of you got developments or neighborhoods that you want to develop. You want to look at it this way. Okay. So you go and create a landing page at the top and you just type in, you go to Property Valuation Plus and you type in the name of the town. Okay. And once you've done that, then you want to go in and make sure and edit it. Once you save it, we drop you on the editor and you upload an image right here. We always drop you right there because that's the first thing, is the most important thing, is to change that image. And I'm going to share with you something about the background image, because I've seen people create landing pages and they put, like the new $1 million building that's being created, the new style of homes and developments. That doesn't always work, because really you got to know that their home looks exactly like that, something like that. And what I'm showing you here is when I set up an office, right? So when I set up I set up national partnerships and biz dev, and I set up the offices around the country. And I remember Coldwell Banker in Summit, New Jersey. And we had this class, we had a rollout class just like we're doing right now. And I was talking to them about, these are the landing pages, and make sure you put your own picture in, right? And what they found, the manager came back to me and said, hey, thanks for the class. That was awesome. We're all using it. But it's amazing that the number one home value landing page is the one that has a Summit Diner in the background. And I want you to kind of think of that, because a lot of people think it's like this luxury new building or home, but that's not it. Really, when you're running an ad, or if you're doing a mailing, or if you're doing anything to get listing leads where you're literally not eyeball to eyeball with somebody, they don't know who you are. And so what you're asking for is, can I have your address and can I have your contact information on an online place where you don't know who I am? So it's really a question of trust. Do they even know who you are? And that's why really choosing a local landmark. Obviously, this is the Summit Diner. You can see it's one of these converted railroad places where you get, bacon and eggs on the weekend and all that. If you know Summit Diner, you know Summit, New Jersey. And that's really the point of what you want to do, is show that you have local knowledge, right? Because local knowledge is really what's going to be important to set a home value, right? You know what's going on in real estate. So that's step one. Okay. You create the landing page. I'm going to show you how to drive people to it on Facebook, but I also want to show you that if you click edit, there's a really cool tool back here under advanced options in the print area. Okay. And when you click print, you're going to see we've got 3 letters, and I can download any one of them. They're just kind of aesthetically different, right? You can edit these before you download them. And as soon as you edit it, you can print it up. But this is what we kind of call a home sold report. And you can see that there's a language, like here's the sales from last month, and your home value has changed. Go to this website to get your free home, right? That's the pitch. That's what's going on. So you do want to edit it because you can see there are no real stats. So go look at your latest MLS report or whatever and say, hey, here's how many listings have sold in the past 30 days. That brings us to this number year to date. And, maybe a couple data points. You want to keep this on one piece of paper. And then you can mail this to your neighborhood, or you can door knock it, put it out any way you want to get it into the area. Okay. But if you're dealing with a particular area or town, then you definitely want to have probably a targeted list, right, to send that to. You could, I know there are companies where you say, hey, I want everybody in the zip code to get it, but you don't know if those people are renting or if they own, right? So that's kind of a big deal. So at that point, we'll say that's in the print section in the back of every property valuation plus page, right? But I'm going to jump over to the listing. So now we know we got to create one of these for every area we're in. I'm going to jump into listings, and I'm going to show you the number one tool for getting listing leads that turn into listing contracts. And then I'm going to tie it all together in a certain way. We'll kind of follow along. So it doesn't matter that the number one tool is always under the market listing, right? So you get a listing, you could even borrow a listing. So let's say that you've got an area that you want to build, you want to develop as a farm, but you don't actually have any listings. If you can borrow any from your office or another colleague, go to this button where it says grab active listing, tell us it's not your listing, so don't make a YouTube video, and put in a zip code and put in the MLS ID for the listing and grab it and just pull it in. And then it will sit here. So you can use the strategy I'm going to show you even with borrowed listings. Okay. And I'm going to go here because this one has an open house, and let's show you that tool. So these are all the listing marketing tools. So when we talked about earlier, I said, hey, does anybody want buyers? This is how you get buyers. If you've got an early stage home for sale, Facebook ad, boom, create an ad. There you go. We've got single property websites, virtual tours. We've got a whole open house marketing toolkit, listing flyers. We've got great new postcards. We even have some really showcasing QR codes. There's a lot of ways to get buyers. But back to the seller story, the number one way to get listing leads is the nearby home letter. It's right here. Now, this kind of looks like that tool I just showed you, which was on the back of the home valuation page, but it's slightly different. So let's look at it. And then I'm going to tell you how we get it into your marketplace, right? Into your market. So this has one picture. It's about a home. And again, you can be a borrowed home. Hey, we've got an open house this weekend. Take this piece of paper into your own home, go to your own computer and type that in and go find out more about it. Be able to do that. But then it always says, this is going to affect your home value when it's sold. So you can go here to go get your home value. And you know what that is. That is going to drive you to this page here. And then that kind of does the work, right? So if we look at this letter, the simplest way to get it into the market, I'm just closing some tabs here because it's just getting confusing. The simplest way is to download it right here and to mail it or just to door knock it. Like that's a very simple way, right? And people have been doing that for years, still doing it today. And they know nobody's going to answer the door, right? It's like nobody answers the phone either if they don't know your number. So they're certainly not going to answer the door, but you leave it behind and you will find that you have listing leads in your house, in your email before you even get back to your car. But there is a better way, maybe not a better way, but there is a more interesting way to get this kind of letter into the market. So as a repeat, I'm going to go show you, I'm going to go back to the landing page, excuse me, and I'm going to I'm going to click on edit on Release Valley. This is a neighborhood by me. I'm going to click on advanced options, and I'm going to click on print marketing, and I'm going to get that letter for the home sales, right? So there are two print letters that you can use to get listings. One is for the sales in a particular neighborhood, and the other is about a listing in a neighborhood. Ideally, they're both in the same area, right? But you can kind of mix and match. But like my kind of gut is all of you are developing 3 to 5 farm markets. You want to apply this in each of them. So let's talk about how to get this into the mail area, right? How we get it into the market with mail. So if we go over here, open up another page, and let's go to the Facebook Marketplace. Now, I'm sorry, not Facebook Marketplace, Facebook Mastermind Group, right? So this is our Mastermind Group. If you're a client, ask the support team to get you into the Mastermind Group. Okay. And I would write these 3 names down. There's a little magnifying glass up on the top right. I don't know if you can see them, but Chris Winstead, Dustin Fox, and Alicia Pless. I would write these down and go in the Mastermind Group and go see their conversations. And probably more importantly, the other notes, the other questions that agents have, right? There's 46 comments here. A couple are me and Scott, but the most are coming from agents talking and discussing about how to do this. So this is Chris saying, I got 5 listings in 3 months using that one piece of paper I just showed. It was actually this one. Okay. And he actually gives, if you read the comments, he gives you the recipe of how he did it. And I'm going to read it to you because it's so important. And it's going to be tied in to something else I'm going to show you in just a bit. He says, I send out letters every other week to neighbors who have owned homes for more than 5 years or more. Okay. Once they opt in on the neighborhood valuation page, I consistently contact them every week with phone calls, bomb letters, letters via mail, and letters left at the door. So let me just say it right up front. This is not set and forget and just have the money come falling in your lap. There are some steps, and obviously there's some follow-up. But this guy, Chris, he moved to San Antonio, Texas from out of state with his wife and kids to be by his wife's family. Okay. And he buys a home in a great area. He's like, oh, I want to be the man in that area. I want to dominate this thing as the realtor. So he moved, he joins this outfit. He starts borrowing listings from them in that neighborhood. And he mails out, as he said, a letter every 2 weeks. Okay. Either this letter or this one. Now, how did he get it? Like, what did he do? Right. And this is the key point. Every other week to people who have owned their homes for more than 5 years. Now, there are a few companies that kind of give you that data. One that I've heard of often is called Remind. Okay. And I think they actually give you a score, like they're likely to sell or medium likely or not likely to sell. But however, Chris was using Remind. He's got 5 years or more. That was his criteria. So he knows the homeowners, and every other week he mails this to them. And that's how having no name recognition, moving into a new state, pulls 5 listings in 3 months. Okay. Now, that was a couple of years ago. You can definitely read about it. It's really worthwhile reading through this. But I want to jump forward to 2022. This guy became the leading listing agent in that office and has now started his own office. Okay. And he trains on our platform. I really recommend that you watch this video of his because he tells you how he tweaks his responses and everything to get more listings out of it. He is using YouTube to recruit other agents and teaching them how to be productive. And the first class it is like, this is how I'm getting listings, because that guy moved from out of state and is now setting up his own office. So here's what you want to definitely get is you want to get a list of homeowners with equity. If it's graded like, hot, medium, or cold, likely to sell, great. Okay. But get a list of people with equity and start mailing this to your farm markets on a consistent basis. He's figures, twice a week, right? I'm sorry, twice a month. But there's another way to use that list. Okay. And I'm going to jump over to, well, before I jump, I want to do a couple. Remember I told you, you should check out all three of these names. And I said, Alicia Pless. So when you start mailing, Alicia would come in here. She's been a client for years. She left us because she started office and she's like, no, I got to come back because there's nothing better than this letter. She listened to a class of mine and learned that you need to make sure this doesn't look like junk mail. Colored envelopes, and you'll see our clients using all kinds of just really cool colors. Making it look custom is going to get people to open it, right? I mean, when you look at the letter, this is not, this is not artificial intelligence. This is straightforward. We're selling a home in your neighborhood. It's going to affect your home. It's not super fancy or flashy or sexy or nothing like that, but it works. So if you know it works, you want to make sure your target opens it. If it looks like bulk mail, it may not even make it in the door. Okay. So that's, and if you read through here, you'll find that every time she mails this out, she ends up getting more and more listings. So you definitely want that. Just in terms of being in real estate, you want to get something like this out consistently to let people know, even if you're borrowing listings, just say that, hey, I'm a realtor and I'm a resource for you. So that's the print side, but you can use that same list on Facebook and you can run ads with it. So let's go look at it over here. Now, can I ask real quickly, would you mind giving me a yes or no in the chat panel of who here has run ads on Facebook with our system? If you just give me a yes or no, that'll kind of help me understand what I need to say. And let me say this. We make advertising so easy for realtors. And I've been talking to realtors for years, so I can tell you, if I ask a crowd, what percentage do you have running out on Facebook? It might be 50-50, right? 50-50. Half of you have it and half of you have. If I ask the people who have, how many of you have had a successful ad, right? Or did you get 0 leads or did you get 1 leads? Because a lot of realtors are going, I got 50 leads, and then you go do it and you get like 1 and you're like, what did I do wrong? So that's the second fork in the road. And if you're inside Facebook, oh my God, it's so challenging. And you really need to know exactly what to do to have that thing be successful. And if you happen to figure that out, I guarantee you it's going to change in 2 weeks. And what you saw 2 weeks ago is going to be different at Facebook when you log in 2 weeks later. That's what's really a bear about Facebook. But I'm going to close my door if I hear some background noise. But we have Facebook software embedded in this page. And we showed our coders, right, our software developers, how to check all the boxes for anything you click on. So when you go over here and you click create an ad, we know what you're doing. We know the stage and we know what we got to check to get people there. Okay. So we make it really, really easy. Let me ask you this question, and I appreciate the responses there. Do you guys know what retargeting, Facebook retargeting is? Do you know what that is? And if you could just give me a yes or no, I'd appreciate that answer too. Because I think maybe 1% of realtors know what it is, that it even exists. I think even less than that can actually apply because it's a bear. It is really difficult. So it sounds like a lot of you know what it is, and I'm glad to hear that. So let me show you what it kind of means. I'll just explain. I'll show you what it is. So yeah, some people know about it, but they really don't know how to use it. So let's kind of get into it. I'm going to just run a very simple ad. I'm going to run a listing ad on a sold property, right? So I choose it here. I leave it on lead ads. I click create an ad. Now, the simple way that this goes, well, I'll show you in a moment. It's going to look at the city where it is, and we're going to repopulate, okay, or pre-populate. That's the location. That's the targeting that you get for a Facebook ad. That's pretty much it. You used to be able to target all kinds of ways, awesome, for reasons, and we can't. So we got to just do obvious, and then this can only be tight as 15 miles. Okay, kind of is not great, right? You sold something, you're getting a better. So you see this box here that says retarget current leads. Well, if you turn on retargeting, and I'm going to just type in here L to L, and I've got a buyer and seller audience. If you turn on our retargeting, what it does is you create a custom audience. Basically, you create a spreadsheet of leads and you leave it in Facebook. And in this case, if you turn on our system, you're going to have a list of leads called L to L buyer and seller audience. Okay. Now, let me ask you this, guys. Who here has like over 1,000 leads in their CRM? Like in your CRM or sitting on your computer, maybe you bought leads from Zillow. Do you have like these kinds of leads around? Because this is going to get really important. Getting close. So Glenda's getting close. Sharon's got a bunch. Kathy's new to the area, so you don't really have that. Steve, you got 700. Keep an eye on those. And Jan's getting there. So here's why I'm asking this question. When you turn on retargeting, well, let me explain this one here first. When you turn on retargeting, this tells listings to leads to create a file in your private Facebook ad manager. It's going to live there forever, called L to L buyer and seller audience. And every lead that you capture in our system, we're going to put in there. And they're going to, and then when you type it in, like I have here in this box, it's going to retarget those leads. So if you've got your leads going into a CRM, hopefully there's a drip campaign going on, right? You're staying in front to help convert. But you can also run ads here so that they can see you again and go, oh, you know what? It's not going to be sponsored by Listings to Leads. It's going to be sponsored by your business page. So that's what retargeting is, okay? You get a custom audience and you retarget, okay? And then I showed you that thing that, hold on a second. I showed you, I need to get this, how Chris, he was using the remind letter to physically mail things to the neighborhood, right? Well, you can take that same list and then say, hey, you know what? Now that I've turned on retargeting and listings to leads, I'm going to create my own custom audience. And you do it right here. You see that blue button that says create audience? Now, when you log in, this does not come automatically. I don't know if you can see, there's a faint green box right here. You'll also, when you connect to for the first time, you might see this yellow box that says accept custom audience terms. Click in there and accept. It takes you to a Facebook page. It's this weird looking page, but at the top it says accept. Click that, and now you've accepted it. Then when you refresh this page, there will be a button right here that says turn on retargeting. And that's it. So to do all that setup, you just got to click 2 buttons. Then this button will be here, and you could say, okay, well, I want to upload my contacts because I've taken my 700, but let me just pump the brakes. You gotta have a list of at least 1,000 people. I don't know why Facebook has this rule, but Steve, you got a list of 700. So when you get 300 more people and you put it on a spreadsheet, use this format. It says use this format right here. You want your spreadsheet to look like that in that order: email, number, first name, last name. And once you do that, you can import it here or here and give it a name, right? My old leads, or perhaps a neighborhood, right? Like Winter Park Homeowners, right? You definitely want to do this for every one of your farm markets, right? So if I've got an area, and I'm going to show you Pleasant Hill in a moment, right? So it's a neighborhood by me, and I'm going to call it Pleasant Hill, right? And I'm going to upload that list. Now, I'm not going to do it, but that's how you would do it. And then you would have a list. Remember where I was choosing the L to L custom audience? You would have a custom audience that you're creating, okay? And that's pretty awesome. Okay. That's awesome. So now you've got this, and let's talk about Pleasant Hill. Okay. So I'm going to create an ad for a landing page. And I'm going to show you the old school one that everybody's been using for years. And years ago, it used to be really awesome. And then it just stopped working. So I want everybody, I'm going to teach you a little bit of why ads like this don't work. Can you see this? It says, what is your homework now? Right? Recent home value, the change, get your free, get your free home value. And then you got to type in an area, right? I'll type in Lafayette. Now, the problem with this, you remember how I showed you that those home value pages, and I said you can create your landing pages, and that generic doesn't work. You really need to show like a local thing. Well, there's nothing local here. I don't know what I'm signing up for when I do this, right? So you may not get great results there. And so that's why when I say you got to create a landing page first, well, when you do that and you say create a landing page ad, now I can go, okay, well, I want to hit Pleasant Hill. It's my neighboring little area. And I'm going to click create an ad. Now I want to point this out. You see, this is lead ads. This means that you want to leave it on lead ads. Just let's leave that there. I'm going to show you the details in a minute. I'm going to click create an ad. I see a question, so I'm going to take that question and then we'll carry on this conversation. Okay. So what is the question? Can you create a list like Chris did for every home, 5 years, make it 1,000 plus and upload? Yes, Steve, that's exactly what I'm saying. So what Chris did is he got the list, he bought it from Remind, and he used it to do physical mailing, right? That's what he was doing. But what I'm showing you is, yes, do the physical mailing, but then create the custom audience with the same exact list. So now you're running ads in front of those same people. So they're getting your materials from social media and print. This is really effective, on any kind of advertising strategy in any industry. It's like, hey, can I get in front of them on television? Can I get in front of them on radio? Can I get in front of a newspaper? Well, yeah, that's awesome. But how much money does that cost? Right? For you, it's like, hey, let's have a little bit of ad spend on Facebook and target these people. Let's have a little bit of print spend and target these people with our postcards or with our neighborhood homeowner letters, stuff like that. So you're using the same list for each of those farm markets in a digital social media format and in a print format. Okay. So where were we? We were on that. So let me tell you, our clients have been running ads like this. So this is Pleasant Hill. Okay. Now, Pleasant Hill is a little town. Yeah. How do you get their email address? Mike, you're going to get that from Remind. Now, a lot of you have partners like title partners or lender partners. They might be able to pull that list for you as well. Okay. But you want the name, address, and email address. Remind will even give you phone numbers as well. So, and you won't get 100% of the data points all the time, but you can still use it. Facebook can figure out who people are without having every field for every person. So I created a Pleasant Hill home value page, and I want to run an ad on it. And this is how you typically do it. But with that Remind custom audience, it's going to get more powerful because a lot of people have not known about this. I've only really been teaching about it for about 2 months. And this is the normal way that people run ads. They just choose their landing page. We type in the town, but we can't change that radius to less than 15 miles. And that's the big problem. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Some years back, like 4 or 5 years ago, you could target people who lived in a particular city or with a particular zip code, and also target that they were homeowners. That made Facebook advertising incredibly powerful. Sorry. I got to go back. Let me do this. Sorry. I made a mistake here. I clicked the button because I wanted to get rid of this panel, but I got to actually, so go back. So, a few years back, people were running illegal ads, discriminatory ads, and Facebook got in big trouble. Then they got got involved with election tampering, and that created another set of problems. And so you can't actually target with Facebook ads anymore. Like, it's just almost impossible, right? All I can do, I want to target the people that own homes in Pleasant Hill. The closest I'm going to get is a 15-mile radius. Let me show you Pleasant Hill. Now, this might not be what it's like for you in your area. So this might not apply, but for a lot of you, you live in areas where there are towns right next door to the next town. And this right here, this little white section here in the middle of this map is Pleasant Hill. And it's about 3 miles from east to west and about 4 miles from north to south. But you can see from my ad, I'm going to be shooting a 15-mile radius, which means all of these people in all of these other towns are going to get this information. They're going to see this ad. Really, that's not effective for you. If they click on it, they're going to chew off some of your money. And they're like, well, this really isn't, the area I'm looking for. So it's not really great lead capture. It is something that we train to do, but it doesn't work. So then this whole Remind story, how does it work? And Steve, you say Remind only has about 70% of emails and only 30% emails in certain other areas. I understand. Facebook doesn't always need emails. They can tell from the area and their name, they can make that still work. So I would try it, Steve, because it doesn't actually need everything, because they just have a lot of data. They can sort of figure it out. So let me say this as well. And this is for those of you that are really, really focused on getting your business to grow. I'm highlighting down here 2 things. One is custom audience and lookalike audience. And there's a third one called a special ad category audience. I would actually highly recommend, if you want to use this retargeting strategy, which you should, that you go to YouTube and you learn what lookalike audiences are and learn what special ad category are. Because the custom audience, we can help you create it, right? We can do it with clicks. But let me explain to you what a lookalike audience is, okay? Let's say that you were a client of Realtor.com or Zillow or some other great company selling you overpriced leads. And you got all these leads and they're sitting on your computer because you canceled that account. And now you've got all these leads, right? And maybe you've got some leads in your CRM, and you put them all together and you upload them as custom audience, right? You can tell Facebook, and you know that you paid for those leads. So there's some quality there of what those people are. When you upload it, you can say, hey, Facebook, create a lookalike audience. And with that lookalike, get me a list of another 1,000 people who have the same attributes as the people on my first list, right? Steve, you've got a list of 700 emails, and there's some reason there are a lot of things that they do that make them unique people, right? Now, I don't know if you guys follow much about news and social media, but there's a lot of complaints about the fact that Facebook knows way too much about us. They know what we do, we know where we travel, how we eat, and they understand our lifestyle. And that's crazy, maybe a little odd, but it can be used to your advantage because you could say, hey, my Zillow lead custom audience, make a lookalike audience. Get me another group of people that fit those criteria. And they will create, boom, a parallel file that you can also use to retarget. And people really love this because it just gives you another kind of funnel, right? So I definitely recommend that. A lot of people have found that to be very useful. But let's talk about how we take the Remind deal, and we bought it because we wanted to do the mailer like Chris, right? But now we know we can upload it as a custom audience. And now I could say retarget. And if I had it created, I could type in Pleasant Hill and it would be, Pleasant Hill homeowners, and it would be there just like this L buyer seller audience. Does that make sense what I am doing, what I'm telling you right now? That's how you get a list from another company of people with equity, you give it a title, and then you type that title here. And it corresponds to the area you're targeting. What you're basically doing with retargeting is you're literally targeting people with equity. And that's what you want to do. Steve, really need to use Facebook Spanish. Why? Yeah. Well, let me show you that real quickly. We don't have everything translated, but let me click on ads. We do have our PDF guides translated. If your wife has her own account, she can also ask our support team. We might be able to turn that on. We actually do have this translated because we're trying to expand the Latin and South America. So you might be able to ping that there. So if I'm creating a PDF guide, and that's probably a good segue, you can change the language to Spanish. It's in English by default, right? And right here are seller PDF guide ads. This is divorce and real estate in Spanish, right? Now, obviously we have it in English, but you click create an ad and the ad is already written in Spanish. All you got to do is type in the name of the town, like Miami or something like that, right? Where you have a big Spanish speaking audience. But I'll go back and we'll do this one more time, a PDF guide ad, and we'll do it in English. And I also want to point out that you can change this color scheme to fit your business, right? Let's see. Well, with EXP, right? We'll save that. And now it's got the branding and the colors that meet your branding needs, right? And you can say, hey, 5 dangers of overpricing. That's going to be a relevant topic right now, right? Create an ad. These are designed for homeowners, right? All you need to do is type in the name of a town. Since Pleasant Hill is a big market to me, I would like to target Pleasant Hill. I might not use my Remind retargeting list because this will hit everybody in Pleasant Hill and it'll also reach out in that broader area. And frankly, I'm happy to do business in all those areas. So that's what I would do. I would run this and just use the normal kind of target. So I see some questions here. Feel free to ask, where do you create the custom audience? I have them at Facebook, but how do I create them at L2L? Okay. So first of all, Rosemary, you got to get your list of where you're going to create that custom audience. Now, I know I said this before, but I'm going to do it for you again. You'll have to come to the ads page. There will be a yellow box where it says accept custom audience terms. And then you refresh this page and you turn on retargeting. And then this button right here that says create audience. Well, That's where you create the audience. You upload the list right here. You give it the name that you want right here. And you use this as the format of the spreadsheet. Have your spreadsheet looking like this before you upload it. Does that make sense? Rosemary, does that make sense for you? Do you understand how you create that? Got it. Okay. So, and you definitely want to do that. I honestly, guys, even if you just have like a bunch of leads in your CRM and it's over 1,000 people, I would definitely do this and stay in front of them. Okay. So we've talked about the PDF guide ads for Facebook. We talked about the landing page and how if you're going to do a landing page, probably using a remind list is going to make that more effective. But you could also, I showed you how to do it earlier. You could also run ads on sold, right? Or under contract or pending. And I'm going to do one on under contract. I'm going to talk a little bit about this. So we're going to do lead ads. We're going to do create an ad. And have a sip of this while we wait for this to bake. So I want to talk a little bit about the cost per lead, right? When you're running an ad with us for homeowners, for sellers, we always put a default budget of $50 and a default time frame of 7 days. Okay. So if you're going to run an ad and it's for sellers, it's going to default $50 for 7 days. Now you have to have a minimum of $5 a day to run a Facebook ad. So if you want to do a 1-day ad, it have to be a minimum of $5. But I'm going to change this because it's a 7-day ad to 35. That's $5 a day. Okay. Now I'm just doing it just to show you that, but I want to get into the cost per lead. You need to understand this because I've shown you multiple ways to run ads to get, to get listings on Facebook. Okay. And I showed you how to run a sold ad. We talked about running a landing page ad. And then we talked about running a PDF guide ad. Right. Now, this is an under contract ad. So not all of you can do this, but if you can run an ad on pending or active, contingent or under contract, then this is the cheapest way to get seller leads. Now we've seen people come back. Not a lot of agents do this, right? In contract. They just don't run this kind of ad. Just getting an agent to run that is remarkable, right? But to be consistent in running later stage to get more listings, very few agents take the time to do that. And if at anything, they probably run a property that's sold, but not many people think to do under contract. And that's why these leads cost the least. These are the cheapest listing leads. Not a lot of people respond on a sold ad. Yeah, Mike, I hear you. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I'll tell you how you get people to respond to that. Fewer people even respond to under contract. You have to give them a reason why, right? And let me tell you, when you're running a sold ad or something under contract, and I'm not sure about your rules, but when it's a sold property, this is what I would have told you had we been talking about 2 months ago, before the interest rates went up. It would be something like in contract in 4 days, right? I mean, this was a common theme. Sold 20K above asking, right? Now, I know the market has shifted a bit, so these kinds of things are dropping off, but it offered, right? There is some reality that you have now that you can add data points that kind of speak to the fact of how long it's taking and how fast and how successful it's going. And yes, you're right. Mike is saying the best response is from just listed, and that's totally right. Just listed ads get the most amount of effective leads, but they're buyer leads, right? You're not getting listing leads. So we're focused here on getting listing leads. And this is writing this kind of text is typically what gets people to respond more. If you just go out with our standard language, often you will get no results. So you do want to kind of do this. But I think you want to look at it because really what you want is a list of homeowners who are thinking about moving. right? And then you want to think about, how can I convert them? What am I going to do? Right? How am I going to build that out? If you want listings in your business, that's got to be part of the deal. How do I get a funnel of a bunch of homeowners that are thinking about it? So you'll have to get, you'll have to think of maybe some other ways to getting people to fill that out. But these ideas that I'm highlighting here are there, right? That typically works. Now, as I said, there's three kinds of ads. So I'm gonna kind of boil down some costs for you. If you run a just sold ad, seller leads typically cost around $6 to $7. I just showed you how to run an under contract ad. We actually just had an agent come 2 weeks ago tell us he's getting seller leads for $2.40. That's a good use at $50, right? To get a bunch of leads for $2.50. If you run a PDF guide ad, like I showed you, we want to focus on sellers, right? So let's, okay, 1031 exchange, right? Maybe somebody wants to, a homeowner's going to think of that. If you run a PDF guide ad, the leads, Facebook can often charge $10 a lead. So the same $50 is going to get you 5 leads. Okay. And if you run one of the home valuation ads, well, the home valuation ads they're like the most expensive, and they can often cost $12, $13 a lead. So as I mentioned, we're putting $50 on the lead on the ad, but how many leads can you get for that same $50? It depends on the tools that you're using. It depends on, and it also depends on the competition in your market. Do you have a lot of people competing, right? So that's really something that I want you to understand about that. One more thing I want you to know is, and this will be, I think it is very effective for home sellers. We are about to launch Google Ads. So the ability to create an ad on Google. Just like Facebook, it is super easy in our platform, whereas it's a lot more challenging on Google. So we automate it. We just make it really, really solid. So that'll be like probably in your account in probably one more week, definitely in September. Okay. So if Google is important in your business strategy, we're going to make it really, really easy. So we talked about landing pages to get more listings. We talked about our PDF guides and how to use Facebook to get more listings. We talked about on the listings page that we have the nearby homeowner letter, right? We were talking about that. Alicia Plass and Chris Winstead, they use the nearby homeowner letter. Dustin Fox. We didn't talk about Dustin, but Dustin uses this as well. And then there's also the seller's social media. This is actually a really good tool to use when you have a sold property. So we email this to you automatically at every listing status. And when we do that, you got to open the email, you got to forward it, and you got to call your client and say, I just sent a tool to you. And, can you, would you put that on your wall? So we're sending them an email, and I'm going to copy and put this over on my wall real quick. Give me a second. This is really a cool tool. And the nice thing about the tool is it's free. Like, it doesn't cost you. And it's for social media. Here. Now, this might be a little bit confusing because my name is Vincent Meza and it's talking about me. So really, this would be your client. Now, there was a picture there. I don't know what happened to it. So there normally is a big picture. But since our home is sold, though, we want to recommend you at your office for doing an excellent job. And here is your phone number and email pre-populated. So it's like a pre-written testimonial. Normally, there's a big picture there, but it's basically designed to get listing leads for you, right? And it's free, and it doesn't expire in 7 days. Most people just leave it there forever. So it's not like you get a lot of leads this way, but these are leads coming from the friends and family and colleagues of your clients. And that's a little bit better than just a random internet lead. By the way, there's my dog Buddy. freaked out yesterday. Because, yeah, well, anyway, let's see. So I think there is one last thing which I wanted to tell you, and of course I forgot it. But these are the tools. Seller social media. Oh yeah, one more thing. E-flyer for your database. Oh no. You should use this on, if you got, like, there are people here who've got big email, big list of people in their CRM. You should blast this out. You can copy it here and blast it as email blast on your leads. It's going to say this is sold, or it's going to say open house, or just list it. It's every time it's going to say that affects your home value. So this flyer can help you get more buyer and seller leads from the same flyer. Okay. And then I'm going to show you one last thing and open it up for questions. So I'm going to go back to the mastermind group, and I'm going to show you Terry Colwick's Colwick. Yeah. So Terry came in and she asked, it was a while ago, who here is getting 2 listings or more strictly from listings to leads? And what is it exactly? Right. That's doing that. And a bunch of our clients jumped in. And one of our clients was Dustin Fox. And he says, we average 2 listings for each marketed listing, all from L to L tools, Facebook ads, mailers, and open houses, trying to get that to above 3. Now, back then, Dustin was becoming, he was a rookie agent on his way to becoming the star of his office. He had been doing business for the first 2 years of 5 million of annual production, right? The second 2 years later, he is doing 20 million. And he told us 80% of his business is coming from our platform. And he's telling you right here, this is pretty much all he does: Facebook ads, mailers, and open houses. Now, I first learned about Dustin after I set up their office. Well, they have 300 agents, right? I don't talk to every agent when I set up an office. I do trainings like this. But he was a rookie, and he came in and he said, hey, I'm using your nearby homeowner letter, and I mail it first class with a little picture of me and my wife in our calendar. And I have even made a 1-page of my Zillow reviews, and I got 10 listings by mailing it first class, right? Again, if you mail it first class, people are more likely to open it, right? And so he says, yeah, it cost me $625, but I sold 10 homes with the average commission of $17,000. So that's his highest ROI, right? That's really, I think, a really solid story there. But I really wanted to let you know that by marketing your listings with these tools, our single property websites and our virtual tours, they both have call to actions. Even if you got an open house, that's going to tell you, hey, what is your homework, right? We know that buyers are looking at homes that are for sale long before they call a realtor. So definitely using our properties here when it's sold, the call to action is to get you more listings. There are lots of ways, guys, of capturing listing leads. I definitely think you want to try and use print and social media and your CRM, blast out on your CRM, so that you're hitting your markets in multiple platforms, right? Online, print, and if you got the CRM. I would totally be doing that. You're going to need to do that to really be competitive. It's not going to be an easy market for a while. I definitely recommend that you try to apply these tools. Are there any other questions for you? While we're waiting on that, this call is being recorded and it will be up in our mastermind group tomorrow. So I don't see any more questions. I appreciate the ones that I got today. Have fun. I know summer is wrapping up for everybody. I'm going to be on vacation myself later this week. So I'll see you when I get back, early September. Time to start running. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, how do I get in the mastermind group? But if you're not in the mastermind group, go down to the support page in your account. It's at the bottom left. And just in this box, say, please get me the Mastermind Group. And the support team will help you right there. Okay, everybody. Thanks a lot. Take care. Talk to you soon.